Easter doesn't end on Easter Day, and in the Easter season, I'm returning to Jesus, the Good Shepherd, who really cares for his sheep. The reason why the shepherd cares for the sheep is because he owns them. Let me read to you from John chapter 10, verses 11 through to 18, which picks up and concentrates on this theme. I am the Good Shepherd. The Good Shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. The hired hand is not the shepherd and does not own the sheep. So when he sees the wolf coming, he abandons the sheep and runs away. Then the wolf attacks the flock and scatters it. The man runs away because he's a hired hand and cares nothing for the sheep. I am the Good Shepherd. I know my sheep and my sheep know me, just as the Father knows me and I know the Father. And I lay down my life for the sheep. I have other sheep that are not of this sheep pen. I must bring them also. They too will listen to my voice, and there shall be one flock and one shepherd. The reason my Father loves me is that I lay down my life only to take it up again. No one takes it from me, but I lay it down of my own accord. I have authority to lay it down and authority to take it up again. This command I received from my Father. You see, the life of the sheep is intertwined with the Good Shepherd. That's what we really read when we concentrate on verse 4 in the passage, where it talks about he's brought us all out, and that sense of belonging. I know my sheep know me, in verse 14 is also picked up, and we're told that the sheep listen to his voice. The whole life of the shepherd is of a piece with the sheep. He can't see them separate because that's his life. This contrasts with the hired hand, who simply works for the payment. Very hard to hear, but it's true. The hired hand is not the shepherd and does not own the sheep. So when he sees the wolf coming, he abandons the sheep and runs away. Then the wolf attacks the flock and scatters it. You see, if he's a hired hand and he doesn't really own the sheep, his life isn't intertwined with the sheep, well, there's a real sense in which it doesn't matter, does it? I can just leave the sheep and get on my own way. But for the shepherd, there's a very different kind of relationship. I try to contrast these relationships in this way. For the shepherd, there's a me and mine relationship, where on the other hand, for the hired hand, it's a me and them relationship. And what a great difference that makes to the way you treat the sheep. If they're part and parcel of your life, you're going to care for them. We're told that the sheep are known by name. Really good shepherds have known the difference. A difference that the amateur walking past looking at two sheep may just see them as though they're the same. But the shepherd really understands those sheep, can tell the nuances, the differences, the tiny differences that distinguish one sheep from another. And all of this leads to the great passage and statement that says, I am the good shepherd. When Moses asked God who it was that was sending him to set the Hebrew people free, God tells Moses to say, I am sends you. There are 7 such I am statements in John's Gospel. Warren Wiersbe explores the I am statements under a fascinating title, Jesus in the Present Tense. And that's exactly what Jesus is. Jesus in the present tense. We see him here as somebody not who was the Good Shepherd, but who is the Good Shepherd, who is the Good Shepherd today. We spoke to somebody earlier about a congregational life, 50, 60 Samoans that meet as part of our Wesley mission. And they have a sense in which they see their pastor and their leaders as shepherding their life. I like that, because when we read that Jesus is the Good Shepherd, it addresses so much a part of our lives. It might address our hurts, our pasts, and all that would hold us back, and speaks of one who is alongside us to guide, to protect, and to comfort us. Jesus, the Good Shepherd. It's a marvelous picture. Now, you could say it's an old-fashioned one. Well, I have a feeling it still resonates with people, that compassionate care that is embodied in the title, that concern for others that is very much part of life. And I think that when we talk about Jesus as the Good Shepherd, we understand something of our own role too, which is to follow. We often sing, I've decided to follow Jesus. Following Jesus is not just in a moment, it is a lifetime's experience. And to know that Jesus is out there. One of the passages that in the Gospels that I often get concerned about as being so important that we don't always understand it, is that when Jesus headed for Jerusalem to face the final conflict that we remember so well of just a few weeks ago prior to Easter, he's out there on the road ahead of them. He's leading them. When they go into the city on Palm Sunday, Jesus is ahead of them. And Jesus is always ahead of us. He tells the disciples, I'll meet you in the Galilee. Again, I will be the one that makes that decision ahead of you. And the Good Shepherd leads his people. What have we to do? But to follow, to receive his compassionate care, and to know day by day that he is the one that makes sense of our lives, because it is that relationship of me and mine. Isn't it so wonderful to know that we can be his and we can belong to him? So many songs, so many hymns have all focused on Jesus, the Good Shepherd. It's not just a nice piece of religious language. It describes in a profound sense the deepest things. And of all the passages in the Bible, there is still none that beats that wonderful 23rd Psalm that talks about Jesus Christ as the Good Shepherd, as the one who comes alongside us.